Oh, I'm your announcer, SirAshtown, here at Clockwork Games in College Station, home of A&M, with their Lorcana 1K. We have currently over 50 players here for this 1K. Very excited today to bring you some competitive Lorcana. We want to thank our producer Luxac in the background for all of his help with the technical side of just the internet that's been going on and all the computer work. Our head judge today, many of you may know from the 20 Lore Discord, is Stunning Rob, our founder. And we want to thank Clockwork Games today for allowing us for 20 Lore to come in today and to stream their Lorcana 1K. It's great to be able to come here and to watch some competitive Lorcana. It looks like we are in round 3. Let me update that for you on the overlay. There's that round 3 up there on the board for y'all. We want to thank everyone so much here for coming to today's tournament. I'm your announcer, SirAshtown, and we want to thank also Nexus for sponsoring 20 Lore Pro with bringing some of their tech equipment for today's tournament. If you are in the Central Texas area and are looking for a store to play any esports games, Nexus is the place to go. So here we are going into round 3. We'll take 1 second to see if we can't update the overlay. We'll go ahead and refresh those names for you. Clockworks being here in College Station, the home of A&M. A really great store. If you've never been, they have 2 stories. One is like a main game area, and then upstairs they have a loft where they have some of their tabletop game tables, such as Warhammer tables, to be able to play on. If you are in the College Station area, head on over to Clockwork Games and check out their store. They have Lorcana tournaments as well as Magic the Gathering and Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! So here we are in game 1 of round 3, Shemar versus Sergio. And we are taking off Amethyst Sapphire versus Ruby Sapphire. Incredibly interesting to see these 2 players take off. Back. Sorry about that. I interrupted the players and wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing Shemar's name correctly. I want to make sure that we represent our players to the best of our abilities. So Sergio versus Shemar. I haven't seen too many Amethyst Sapphire lists, so I'm very interested to see kind of what his top-end payoffs are for playing this color pairing. There's a lot of different ways you could go with this, and maybe he's playing the bounce package along with the ramp. We'll have to see kind of as this game goes on. These Ruby Sapphire deck lists have really begun to have more popularity as we've seen more Tamatoa, Lucky Dime, and even maybe some Grammatala packages to try to get the win on the top end. We see that Sergio got that fishbone quill on the board, able to try to gain some type of ramp compared to Shemar's Mickey Mouse Detective. And there is the rabbit that may be indicating that Shemar does have the bounce package. We'll have to see as the match continues. We saw Cruella earlier being in the bench pile for Shemar. Maui just able to come down incredibly strong. But a lot of these Sapphire Ruby deck lists are playing the Maui's fish hook. That way they're able to take out locations in one turn. There's that Maui up there on the screen for you to see. Such an iconic character for Lorcana as a whole. There is a Flavor Sham getting rid of that fishbone quill that Sergio no longer needs, able to draw him some resources instead. Shemar playing a second rabbit, able to draw some. Wonder if he's got some bounce characters in hand, able to kind of recur some of these rabbits. Something that Amethyst seems to love to do. And there's another jump ahead. Inking a Rafiki and passing it back. That is a lot of ink for Shemar's inkwell. It's like 9 ink in total. That is quite a bit. Here's Sergio with a 4/4 Gaston. This Gaston able to quest for 3, able to get a card off the top 3. Sergio playing a Popsicle and using it to banish that with Flavor Sham, drawing him 3 cards total. Flavor Sham so far having done quite a bit of work for Sergio, able to draw him 4 cards total. We love seeing these Flavor Shams just get in there and able to draw their players a bunch of cards. Both players with a lot of ink in their inkwells. We're going to see kind of the best here in Ruby Sapphire and Amethyst Sapphire, as they now have the ability to play really anything that they want from their hands. Let's see what Shemar chooses to do is, wow, using a Merlin Crab on the Mickey Mouse Detective, able to take out with the Merlin Rabbit in one go the Flavor Sham. Flavor Sham having that 6 toughness, just making him a brutal card to be able to get rid of. It's almost like trying to get rid of a location. Flavor Sham, though, already having done Sergio quite a bit of work. Although it's sad to see him go, I'm sure Sergio is thankful for all the hard work that Flavor Sham has put in so far. It looks like a Be Prepared off the top from Sergio, able to clear up all of the card and the board state that Shemar was trying to build up. Shemar tapping 5, actually possibly 4, for a goat, gaining a lore. Still got plenty more in the inkwell. Plays another goat. If nothing else, Shemar is going to use these goats to try to gain some lore. Ready for the next Be Prepared. Following it up with a Chernobog's Followers. Something that we're seeing from both of these competitors is a lot of card drawing. And there is another Be Prepared off the top from Sergio. I say off the top, he probably had that one in hand, but allowing him to make sure that Shemar isn't able to use those goats to gain any more than the 4 lore total. That takes care of 2 of Sergio's Be Prepareds, and we are not sure how many more he has. This puts Shemar maybe in a position where he could start flooding the board with some of his cards. Sergio having a Gaston on the board. Shemar is letting go the Gaston, able to put him back into Sergio's inkwell. At this point, Sergio has enough in his inkwell that letting one more character go into it doesn't really affect him too much. Let It Go, the iconic song Frozen. Really love to see that it has a great card printed for it. Here's Sergio with, I believe, the McDuck Manor. It has a huge toughness, able to make sure that it is protected from almost all of Shemar's cards. We did see a Merlin Crab, however, from Shemar, so he may possibly find a way to take care of this 9 toughness location. Shemar banishing the Chernobog's followers to draw a card. Has a ton of lore to make double plays if he chooses to. Plays another jump ahead. I wonder what his deck count is currently with cards in his deck. A lot of decks like this where they're drawing a bunch with the Merlin Rabbit, they're using the jump aheads. It can sometimes be a little scary to know what your deck count is to make sure that you don't accidentally mill yourself out. Being this early, though, I'm sure he's got plenty more to go. Sergio tapping quite a bit here. A Tamatoa, one of the favorited top-end cards for these Ruby Sapphire lists. Tamatoa just able to get you an item back from your discard to your hand, as well as gain you 1 lore for each item that you have in play. Sergio going up to 9, gets a Popsicle back, able to draw. We'll see what Shemar can do to try to get back into the board state here. I believe he's got 2 cards in hand. Ooh, and uses a Hades, another favorited blue card, to get rid of that Tamatoa. Hades being from that set 1 allows you to put a target character into their opposing inkwell. Both players really going back and forth here this match. We're only still in game 1. Is able to get rid of one of Sergio's characters, passing it back to him. Now Sergio is showing why these locations are so great, able to gain passive lore each turn with that McDuck Scrooge Manor. I call it the Scrooge Manor, but really the McDuck Manor, able to gain 2 lore at the upkeep. A second Popsicle, followed up by a Maleficent Dragon. Sergio having a pretty resounding control of the board right here. Hopefully Shemar can find something to get out of this predicament. We know he's playing a ton of the blue removal. Doesn't quite see a way out with the cards left in hand and decides to end it early to go into game 2. Congratulations to Sergio on winning game 1. We'll see if Shemar can come back on game 2 to lead us into a game 3 for the match. I want to thank everyone for coming out here today to 20 Lore Pro's Twitch channel. We thank you all so much for watching today as we are here at Clockwork Games in College Station for their Lorcana 1K. If you've missed any of the rounds previously or later on as you gotta leave early, head on over to the 20 Lore Pro YouTube channel where we'll have all of the rounds for you posted later on this week. If you missed last week's tournament that we streamed at Hearst Convention Center with the Hunter Burden Memorial Lorcana Championship, head on over to our YouTube, 20lore.pro. We will have those videos up for you tomorrow to view. We want to thank again Clockwork Games for coming and allowing us to play and to watch their Lorcana 1K. It's always a pleasure to be able to come and to watch some competitive Lorcana. We want to thank our producers in the background, Luxac, who is our camera and computer guy, along with Sunny Rob, who is the founder of the 20 Lore Discord, as the head judge for today's tournament. I'm your announcer, SirAshtown, and we just want to give a big shout out to Nexus, who has helped provide some of the streaming equipment for today's tournament. If you look at the bottom right of the stream overlay, every so often one of our sponsors for events comes across the screen, and we greatly want to thank and appreciate those who have partnered with 20 Lore Pro as we bring you the best in competitive Lorcana. We also want to thank these two players, Sergio and Shemar, for playing in today's tournament. It's a great pleasure to be able to see these players in the feature match as Shemar leads us off in game 2 for round 3. Shemar piloting Amethyst Sapphire versus Sergio piloting Ruby Sapphire. Sergio leading us off with a Develop Your Brain. Shemar inking a second Rafiki, seeing that he doesn't really need those this match, is not afraid to let go of those early game Rafikis. There's that Develop Your Brains up there that allows you to look at the top 2 cards and put one of them into your hand and one of them on the bottom. Shemar playing a turn 4. Let's see what he's got. A rabbit. We didn't see any of the bounce cards from Shemar. Not too sure if he's playing any of the Madam Mim snakes or foxes. But we have, however, seen these rabbits able to help Shemar gain some card advantage and extra resources. Sergio getting out that fishbone quill, so important for these Ruby Sapphire lists as they try to ramp up as far as they can. Shemar with a 4-drop Grandma Tala, able to look at the top 2 cards and put one of them into your hand. Not only that, but having a 3/3 body in this format so far has really shown to be pivotal, as a lot of these characters have 3 toughness. Shemar inks a Flounder into a Chernobog's Follower. With no characters on Sergio's side of the board, as I say that, playing a big Maui, looks like Chernobog's followers will probably have to quest and then banish itself to draw a card. That's something that you'll never know against playing Ruby, is if you're safe, they have so many options for different rush characters. Even Amethyst these days tend to have a couple of rush characters that really makes you question before you play and quest with one of your characters. Currently 0-0 as both players are trying their best to develop their board state. Both of them honestly having quite a bit of ink in their inkwell. Shemar having enough to play a Gaston, a powerful card able to gain Shemar another resource into his hand. Not only that, but Gaston himself is a incredible quester. If it stays on the board for more than one turn, it can become an issue as it starts to gain a lot of lore for your opponent. There's that Gaston on the board for you to see. Sergio, thinking about what to do next. Both these players really thinking some of these turns can be incredibly pivotal. Just making sure you make the right play can really steamroll you towards victory or away from it. Sergio opting to play a Flavor Sham, trying to get ahead in card advantage, giving him more options to play later on. We saw Flavor Sham do quite a bit of work for Sergio during game one. Passes it back to Shemar, who does have that Gaston able to quest this time if he so chooses. Having just that 4/4 body makes it pretty durable. Preparing for a big character, and there he is, a Hades. Hades being a great character right here, taking out that pesky Flavor Sham before it can draw Sergio too many cards. It's already netted Sergio 2. Shemar wants to make sure that it wasn't any more than that. And I can't quite blame him. Another big card from Sergio. Be prepared. Once you see your opponent have questers like Hades or Gaston both on the board at the same time, really makes using a Be Prepared a solid option to make sure you can reclaim some of that board presence. Sergio, having enough ink in his inkwell, decides to play that 2-rush Stitch. I said that, and I forgot that it was Uninkable Stitch. Still a great card, again, having that 3 power, able to challenge into so many different characters so far in the Lorcana meta. And here's Shemar with another payoff card that we see from him in the form of Bell. I think I saw him counting up his inkwell. I'll have to count it as well, see if he's got enough. Looks like he's got 8. Next turn will be 9. That's pretty good. But Sergio able to answer back using a Maleficent Dragon to take out that Bell. Bell has seen in certain lists play, and in others, people have opted to not use it as a finisher. In this case, Shemar does like the Bell. Maybe playing 1 or 2 of. When you do have 10 cards in your inkwell, it's able to gain you 4+ lore. Both of these players being at low lore counts, trying to vie back and forth for control over the board. There's a McDuck Manor from Sergio. No real point currently in Ruby Sapphire list to move characters over unless they might be playing. I believe the card is Hey Hey, the little coconut guy. Some lists have been playing him, and If you're able to get more than one location on the board, able to go back and forth and take lore from your opponent. Shemar playing an Elsa, Spirit of Winter, tapping down two of Sergio's characters. And there is the Madam Mim Fox. He is playing the bounce package. That's kind of what we did figure, but being able to see it play out here lets us know that Shemar is now able to stabilize some as he continues the recursion. With a second Madam Mim Fox to get rid of that powerful McDuck Manor, having that 9 toughness. Sergio taking his turn, playing a second Popsicle. Sergio trying to find some options, even though Shemar does have those cards back in hand. Gosh, those Madam Mim Foxes did a lot of work for Shemar during his last turn. Both players kind of thinking about what to do next. They have a lot of ink in their inkwell. Makes it hard to decide if you want to make double plays or one big play that takes your entire turn. Sergio choosing to start questing after having that Gaston hit the board. Maybe he drew something that allows him to kind of figure out what he wants to do during his upcoming turn. Shemar taking his turn. Lots of cards in his hand. We see friends on the other side. And a lot of blue cards. Uses one of the Madam Mim Foxes to draw two. Sergio wanting to see Shemar's graveyard, probably to opt to see how many versions he's got of what cards left. I want to say that was Shemar's second copy of Friends he's played this game. Going up to 5 lore after questing. Taps down everything with Elsa. There's Sergio with another Gaston, having 2 on the board now. Shemar will have to take out these Gastons, or if not the Maleficent Dragon, if he's going to be able to make sure that Sergio doesn't gain quite a bit of lore from these Gastons. There's Sergio using that the Rocket Stitch with Rush to be able to take out one of the Madam Mim Foxes. That's something that I've enjoyed about Stitch, is that Lorcana, they've really given Stitch so many fun, varying versions of his character. This one being the Stitch Little Rocket. Shemar passing his turn after bouncing and replaying Elsa. Sergio able to take care of the little Madam Mim snake with a Madam Medusa. Madam Medusa in later days, such as now, has seen more play over Lady Tremaine. I've even seen some lists play 2 and 2 of both. catching your opponent off guard, not leaving things protected on the board with an extra character to be fodder for Tremaine. Madame Medusa, though, seeing a lot of play as it can target removal cards like Beast or Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. Shemar choosing to not challenge, going up to 11. Let's see what he plays. Oh, another Elsa. Wow, really using these top-end cards to try to control the board state. Looks like he plays a Mickey Mouse Detective. We're at Shemar looking at 11 to Sergio's 5. Sergio saw too much on Shemar's side of the board to be able to quest, decides to play a third. Be prepared. Shemar playing a rabbit, able to draw some cards. Has so much in his inkwell, plays another jump ahead. Shemar really setting himself up to be able to play more than one card a turn as we get here into the late game of game 2 of round 3. And there is the fourth Be Prepared by Sergio. Sergio seeing Shemar really build up his board state twice and stops it from happening. I believe that's all 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Sergio now not having any answers really for a whole board state that Shemar may play. I'm not sure if Sergio's list does play Scar. I think we saw that during the last match. But my goodness, so many cards in his inkwell. It looks like another Gaston. Sorry, my image is a little fuzzy. I think it's Gaston that he's playing. Shemar really having so many answers for Sergio for what he's presenting. We're seeing the powerhouse of Sapphire's ramping ability mixed with Amethyst's ability to bounce and draw cards. Sergio, I believe, has nothing in hand. Shemar at 15, still playing, trying to get as much board state as he can, just in case Sergio does top deck an answer. And there goes a Turnabox Followers. Sergio sees his board state and opts to go to game 3 as Shemar is presenting too much on board for Sergio to take care of. Shemar taking the win. Congratulations, Shemar, on winning game 2 of round 3. We're going into game 3 here at Clockwork's Lorcana 1K, round 3. We want to thank y'all for joining us over here on Twitch. We are here with 20 Lore Pro, presenting some of the best in competitive Lorcana. We want to thank y'all for coming out and watching today's stream. If you missed any of the previous rounds or may have to leave early, head on over later on this week to 20lore.pro/YouTube to watch any of the rounds you missed on our YouTube channel. Last week, 20 Lore Pro was at the Hunter Burden Memorial Lorcana Championship in Hearst Convention Center, where we streamed a Lorcana 1K tournament featuring over 40 players. Lorcana Bros ended up winning that tournament. If you'd like to see those rounds, you can head on over to 20lore.pro/YouTube tomorrow evening for those rounds. We want to thank some of our sponsors for today's tournament. One of the main ones being Clockwork Games, as they're the main host for this tournament. Thank you so much, Clockwork Games, for allowing us to stream your tournament today. If you're ever in College Station, home of A&M, check out Clockwork Games and their card store. We want to thank Nexus Esports Lounge in Waco, Texas for helping provide some of the streaming equipment for today's tournament. Nexus is a esports lounge and trading card game store in Waco that features tons of computers for you to play any of the esports games that you enjoy. We also want to thank Sergio and Shemar for volunteering to play in our round 3 feature match. It's always a pleasure to see players come and to enjoy the game, and for us, the audience, to be able to watch. So here we are going into game 3 of round 3. Sergio piloting Ruby Sapphire versus Shemar piloting Amethyst Sapphire. Sergio leading us off has 3 cards in his inkwell already. And now Shemar does too, playing a jump ahead. Sergio starting off his turn. Pretty typical with this popsicle. Something that we aren't seeing right now from Sergio, though, is that fishbone quill. I'm sure Sergio would love to have that down as quickly as possible. Sometimes fishbone quill isn't necessarily needed for the ramp strategy in Ruby Sapphire, but it certainly does help for many of the different lists out there. I believe Shemar played a Flavor Sham, getting rid of the Popsicle. Flavor Sham really being an MVP for this deck, able to help Sergio draw so many cards this match. If it's one thing we know about Flavor Sham, it's that he loves to eat the Zootopia Popsicle. Shemar here with a Merlin Rabbit, using it to quest, knowing that it's pretty open. There's a Scar taking out the Merlin Rabbit, able to draw Shemar a card. But something about this Ruby Sapphire list that has been pretty good so far for Sergio is that he's got several just surprise rush characters, sometimes not knowing how many each list plays. But in this case, Sergio playing the Scar as well as the Stitch Little Rocket. Shemar taking his turn. Passes it back to Sergio. Sergio ready to eat up anything he can by challenging with Scar. Shemar not wanting that to happen, opts to not quest during his turn. Sergio, though, having a Gaston may be the last thing that Sergio is able to eat with that Scar. There's another popsicle for Flavor Sham to eat up. There it goes. Netting Sergio a total of 3 cards this turn. Sergio opting to pass it back, saying he's done enough. Both players having a Gaston on their side of the board. Gaston kind of being an MVP of this match for both players, as both of them have played quite a few on their turns. It's really a toss-up, though, for Sergio between Flavor Sham or Gaston. Flavor Sham seems to have done the most work for draw support. It's like players are thinking through their turns. For both of these more ramp control style decks, this mid game is pretty important as they're trying to get as far ahead on the state of their inkwell as they can, while also putting down enough threats to challenge whatever their opponent's putting out. Shemar showing off one of these threats in the form of Elsa. This may be a state in which Sergio, if he has a Be Prepared, may want to. Seeing a Scar be taken out by a Rafiki. That Rafiki really having a strong challenger ability. Really has helped against a lot of aggro decks, but in this case, just giving it Challenger 3 whenever it does a challenge makes it quite strong. There's Sergio with one of the great payoff cards for Ruby Sapphire in the form of Tamatoa. Tamatoa netting Sergio back his Popsicle. Allowing Flavor Sham to eat up. That netted Sergio so many cards this turn. I believe 3 in total. Tamatoa now trying to get in a position where he can use his items to try to gain more questing power. And there's a Hades getting rid of that Tamatoa. Shemar going up to 9 to Sergio's 2. Shemar able to now quest with the power of Elsa and Gaston. Having another great quester in Hades. Can Sergio show us an answer, maybe in the form of Be Prepared? We'll find out. And there it is, Be Prepared. Sometimes you gotta worry if he may not have drawn into that Be Prepared, but in this case he did. Now able to double play cards after having played the Be Prepared. Looks like 2 stitches. Able to clean up anything that Shemar might put out there for him. Shemar using that Merlin Rabbit to draw. I believe playing a Bell. That Bell, sadly enough, though, gets eaten up by that Madame Medusa. Able to target it and remove it. Bell, if it would have stuck around for another turn, could have quested for quite a bit of the lore. There's that Bell for you on the screen to see. Shemar to 9, Sergio's 8. We're seeing Sergio now, after having played that Be Prepared, on a very pivotal turn that would have really seen Shemar gain quite a bit of lore, now building up a strong board state. Shemar with Gaston, followed up by a Madame Mim Fox. Opts to not challenge. There's Sergio with a Develop Your Brain. Into a Popsicle. That Popsicle immediately getting used up by that Flavor Sham, drawing Sergio more cards. Ink's return into another Gaston. Sergio, having drawn so many cards this turn off of Popsicle, Flavorsham, and Gaston, really showing the power and versatility of Ruby Sapphire. Shemar, looking to quest, goes up to 12. Sergio having quite a bit of a good board state here. Shemar goes to 13, opting not to challenge anyone. Uses a Hades to get rid of that powerful questing Gaston. What a back and forth from these two players as they're really trying to play the best payoff cards as they can in their decks. Great to see these two players use all of their inkwell to the best of their abilities to really pay the best payoff. Hades here, having gotten rid of a strong quester in Gaston. We'll see if Shemar cannot come back with the board state and his characters to try to gain as much lore as he can. Sergio probably looking for another Tamatoa or any other payoff card he might have. He may be playing Bells. Plays another Gaston. I hear a lot of buzz going around outside in the game store. Maybe time for close to end of the round. That sometimes can happen as two players playing Control compete against one another. Sergio playing a McDuck Manor. Able to gain some passive lore, takes out Shemar's Gaston with a Maui. There's Sergio doing his signature move, drawing more cards with that Flavorsham. Trying to gain some more lore. We'll see what Shemar can do in this board state, as we see Sergio not only have so many characters on his side, but also locations. Can Shemar find a way to take care of and challenge Sergio's aggressive increase in lore? Shemar with the ability to go to 15 if he decides to quest, knowing that Sergio has quite a bit of lore ability on board, questing power. That's something though about Shemar, he is able to double play, maybe even triple play cards depending on what he has. We've already seen some Madam M Foxes from Shemar. Maybe able to utilize some of those to take out some of these characters. Shemar playing Gaston. It's so fuzzy I can't barely see it, but I believe it's Gaston. You can tell me in the chat, but another 4/4 able to quest for 3 is pretty good for Shemar here. Whatever Shemar does quest with, if he decides to with Hades, will be eaten up pretty quick by that Maui. Does decide to and go to 15. We know that Shemar, I believe, has 20 on the board. There's a Madam M Fox. Let's see if we can take out one of these characters. Which it does. Trading with the Stitch. I just heard our head judge, Tony Robb, call time of the round. Active players Shemar with turn 0. Sergio being turn 1 of 5. I've just been informed by our production team that the feature match has a 7-minute time extension due to setup. So they have a little bit more time than the rest of the players in the tournament. Sergio going up to 20. Congratulations to Sergio on taking round 3 in game 3 of round 3. Congratulations, Sergio, for really showing kind of the heights that Ruby Sapphire can go to try to take wins by ramping and playing high payoff cards. We got to see the versatility of Flavorsham as well as Gaston, as they really helped Sergio draw so many cards that match. Shemar was doing a wonderful job using the bounce from Amethyst to try to control the board state, ramping with Sapphire to get into his high payoff cards like Elsa and Belle. What a great round 3 from these two competitors. We want to thank them so much for competing today and for being here today at Clockwork Games, Lorcana 1K here in College Station, home of A&M. Again, I'm your announcer, SirAshtown. We're here with 20 Lore Pro. If you miss any of the other rounds, you can head on over to our YouTube later this week, where we'll have all of these rounds posted. We're going to get ready for round 4 as players are getting ready. We want to thank y'all again so much for joining us, and we will be back here in just a little bit for round 4.